Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video, and I figured I should address the article I wrote today because my whole timeline is just people yelling at me about either how wrong my list is, or some people are saying it's somewhat accurate, but other people are saying that this is one of the most absurd things I've ever written because of how I rank things, and it's sort of a mess. So I just wanted to go through this, and I think one of the main problems here is I wasn't really properly conveying my overall intention with this article. My original title was like ranking Destiny 2's 9 3.0 classes and subclasses best to worst, and that implies kind of overall strength as opposed to, this is my new title I made, ranking Destiny 2's 9 3.0 subclass reworks best to worst, where I was mainly trying to focus on like the changes that Bungie has made to the subclasses, not necessarily just their overall strength in activities. And like a list like this is very hard to write in the first place to begin with, because there are so many different contexts as to like what's a good subclass, what makes a good subclass. Is it the best subclasses for day one rating? Is it the best subclasses for GMs? Is it the most fun subclass with the biggest variety of builds and most, interesting mechanics? There's a lot of things that go into this that factor in. And I'll just skip to the end here, where the big controversy is that I put Solo 3.0 Warlock last. And everyone is frying me because of the very obvious notion that you need Warlock in tons of endgame content. For pretty much any DPS phase for a raid or dungeon, you are going to need at least one, if not a couple Warlocks, because of how essential has become to the ecosystem of the game. And I was pointed to Salty Greppo, I did not see this, did a tier list yesterday where his emphasis is on day one rating. So he naturally has, at the top here. He has Bubble / I guess this is Banner Shield technically too, also here, and then Solar Titan for bonking, and then everything else is like kind of A tier, and then there's some decidedly bad things like Arc Warlock all the way down here. This certainly for day one rating, like I agree that you absolutely need a for all these encounters, but I guess I was trying to write this list, even though I factor in like whether super is strong or weak. It wasn't necessarily just about that. It was how Bungie has treated these overall kits, how they have kind of evolved with the 3.0 updates, and kind of their overall strengths, not just like what is mandatory for a raid DPS encounter. And in writing this, I have learned some things. Some people have pointed out some builds that I should try more or experiment with, and like I haven't literally tried every single build in the game, but I will just kind of go through these, and like I am not necessarily 100% locked into this order. I think you can certainly make the case for Solar 3.0 Titan being number one. I think it is a very strong class, both between bonking things, constant sunspots, and then Lorelei is a just wild exotic to have for many reasons, for survivability, for it's probably the most insane exotic we've gotten in the 3.0 era. So yes, I think you can put that above a Void Warlock, maybe, but I just think Void Warlock is so incredibly strong, with essentially non-stop Devour you can get, with Child of the Old Gods being an easily accessible debuff on any enemies, big or small. And then Nova Bomb is one of the rare Warlock supers that is actually in somewhat good of a state for actual damage. Granted, super use is not really what you're using for damage over, standing in a well and shooting things, but for me, the Warlock 3.0 kit is one of the strongest, if not the strongest. If I had to pick number one, it's probably my number one. Solar Titan, again, is up there, but you can switch these how you want. Or if we're doing what is the most necessary for raids, yes, you can put Solar Warlock at number one because wells are mandatory. Interestingly, Celtic Repo has constantly been making the case that wells should be nerfed because he thinks wells are trivializing endgame content, and it's too necessary, it's too good. And he agreed that the kit itself on Solar needs to be buffed, but wells should be nerfed. Number three, again, these next couple, you can flip the order if you want. I have been absolutely having a blast with R3.0 Titan. I totally love the new dash mechanic. I think it is a great addition to the class, and it perfectly synergizes with like Heart of Inmost Light builds. That should be capitalized. And then Titan Storm grenades are probably the best grenades in the game, if not, top two with fusion grenades for that build on Warlock. But in terms of like what this did to the overall class, I think this really synergized with kind of the fantasy of Titans just running around and smashing everything. I do not like Thunder. What's the thing? Thunderclap as much as everything else that is in the kit. However, this was or is about to be patched where it's no longer doing the thing where you would just automatically normal melee enemies as opposed to doing Thunderclap. So maybe that will get better after this. I am disappointed with the Thunderclap melee exotic, but I have just been having a total blast with this and a Volt Shot sidearm. It's a lot of fun. Again, you are not running Arc 3.0 Titan for your raid DPS phase, but in terms of how the rework has gone, I think this has been one of their biggest successes, if you ask me. Overall, I would say Titan has gotten the best 3.0 reworks of anything. As you can see, they're 3 of the top 5 for me, and I think Bungie's done a pretty stellar job with those. Void 3.0 Hunter, this is the one that everyone thought was super weak at the beginning, but then everyone kind of figured out how to use it, and it was actually not that bad at all. And then this season we have Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, which is a crazy, crazy damage buff. It makes for a really fun invisibility loop where every time you go out of invisibility, you're getting this huge 35% damage boost. And that's a lot of fun, but Void Hunter in general, I think, is a lot better than people were initially giving it credit for at the beginning of Void 3.0, and it remains one of my favorite reworks here. Void 3.0 Titan, Overshields on demand, the explosive little things that go off from all your abilities everywhere, and then you can put Devour on it too because they added that fragment later. Very strong. Bubble did get nerfed, which is not great, but as you can see, you still kind of need Bubble for a lot of circumstances, and also you still have Banner Shield if you want to do that as well, even though if Banner Shield is not the instant super refill thing that it used to be for pretty much all GMs. Solar 3.0 Hunter, like as we get further down the list, like I'm still not even in like I think these are bad territory. I still have had a lot of fun with these. I really enjoyed Solar Hunter last season, especially once the Caliban knife build got fixed. Explosive knives, mob clearing was a ton of fun. You can always have Perma Radiance up on the builds here. The Ahamkara Trip Mine I was doing before this got fixed was very fun. Shards of Galanor got an aspect that makes it actually do some decent damage, which is nice. I kind of got tired of blowing myself up with the dynamite. This is a very fun ability, but like it was just too much me exploding myself too much at the time. So not ideal there. And I'm not really talking about Celestial Golden Gun anymore. Like this class has evolved at least beyond that at this point. So I think that's a very good thing. Arc 3.0 Hunter, this is one that people thought I should probably raise higher. It's so melee focused that I don't really love that playstyle, and I think Hunter has just so many absolutely trash arc exotics outside of 1 or 2, but there's so many just terrible ones that I'm not in love with how this plays, and I've already switched from going an Arc Hunter back to Void Hunter for the Gyrfalcon build. The Liar's Handshake 1-2 punch stuff is fine, but people were like, you should do Assassin's Cowl because you don't even need Liar's Handshake, it's overkill, just do 1-2 punch with Assassin's Cowl and combination blow, and you will just be tearing through things. So sure, I might give that a shot. I don't really love the combination blow, like melee punching loop. It just doesn't feel great to me. I don't know. Maybe I should give it more of a shot. Maybe it's more fun with Assassin's Cowl if you can go in Viz. And then I have done things like, what's it called? The Shinobi's Wrath. Is it Shinobi's Wrath? Is that what it's called? Shinobi's Vow. There it is, Shinobi's Vow. With the grenades that you can jolt enemies with, and they refill really quickly. I just thought that was a little boring and like a little basic, and just boosted grenades was not like, I feel like they have to be like kind of like awe-inspiring. Like the Titan Thunder grenades are like crazy, whereas this was like, okay, they're good, but nothing to really get me excited about it. So I don't know. I'll go back and I'll try the Assassin's Cowl build and see how that goes. Arc 3.0 Warlock. I am actually having a good amount of fun with this class, but it is really based on just essentially one build, which is the new spiky helmet, the Star something. I can't remember the name of all the new exotics yet. combined with Delicate Tomb, the new fusion rifle, and you just constantly generate ionic traces and you're chain lightning enemies with your fusion rifle. It's a lot of fun. However, I don't think the overall kit got nearly enough stuff compared to its rivals, like the new melee where you dive underground sort of and like appear as a arc orb. I don't think it really got enough compared to the other arc classes, and its supers are some of the most underpowered in the game, both Chaos Reach at base and the Tickle Fingers. That I literally just think of it as Tickle Fingers now. Stormcaller are woefully underpowered without some like serious help from dedicated exotics meant to boost their power, which I don't really love having to rely on just exotics to make your supers warranted, or to make them damage worthy. So I'm not loving that. I do really like the one build I am using, and yet I recognize that it's probably not like the best higher level concept build, nor can I really think of all that many other builds besides this exact one I'm running that are like terribly fun. I know some people have like the little supercharged arc buddy when you're amplified, which is good, and there was like a ton of ability uptime with the ionic traces, but I think this needs some help. A lot of people, when they're arguing about my list, they said that this should be last, and I can see that. Yeah, you can make that argument probably. Solar Warlock, we already talked about why people think it should be first, obviously because of well remains just so necessary in so much content that it's the number one thing you need in a raid. So if that is the list, if that is Salt's list, yes, I agree with that. But in terms of the 3.0 reworks, I very much do not like this idea of leaning so hard into this aerial kill loop. I don't find that enjoyable. I don't find that particularly useful. Most of the time, outside of Icarus Dash is good in and of itself, but I don't really buy into this idea that aerial kills and aerial whatever is the name of the game for Solar Warlock. There is the fusion spam build, which is very good, that dishes out like a serious amount of damage. Even if it is not the most interesting build in the world, it is still very good. I really personally loved the Dawn Chorus Incandescent build, where Dawn Chorus is the one exotic that crazily boosts up incandescent damage to be just like unlike anything you've ever seen before. And like, again, you're probably not in high level content, but it was a lot of fun. But the Dawnblade has needed massive buffs for ever since the rework, because they got rid of different aspects of it. Warlock is not necessarily as good at healing as it used to be. It just seems to me like this kit suffered the most in the transition to 3.0. Like, Well was good before, Well is still good now. Not really that much change about Well. It's gotten some nerfs, but if you believe Salt, it should be nerfed more. But that's not really the issue here. I just don't think this was as good of a 3.0 rework, and outside of just needing Well for content, I don't think this is something you would want to run in a lot of instances. Again, there are fusion grenades are great, but this to me is why I put this down here. And if you want to put this a little higher, if you want to put Arc Last or Solar Hunter, I don't know. You can pick your own last place here. You'll notice that I don't have any stasis classes on here, and I think all those would be pretty low at this point, generally speaking. Because I don't even know how they fit into the game anymore, because I haven't used so many in so long. But this is why I did this here, and like, I am not a moron. I understand Well exists, but I don't know. Maybe I should have kind of explained my intention with this list better. Then I would have gotten so much flack. But I don't know. It's fine. I get it. And it is interesting because you have so many people debating, like, I can't believe you put this here, and then like everyone lists their dedicated build for whatever subclass that is actually really good. And so there's even more that I kind of want to try, and then I haven't done everything. But I mean, it's impossible to make a list like this that people are going to agree with. I think Salt's list is very uncontroversial for day one rating. I think this is perfectly acceptable, and it makes a ton of sense. That is just not really the list I was writing, so that is why mine is dramatically different, including having his first place last. So anyway, I don't know. I get yelled at online all the time, so this is fine. It's just wanted to go into a little more detail about it here. And yeah, I have muted that thread, but feel free to chime in with your own thoughts about it, or just comment on the video here. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.